G'day folks, Links here, and welcome back to another episode of Nomifactory. So, I've been busy playing about with nuclearcraft. You see that the nuclearcraft quest tree, I get the words out, is almost done. Honestly, the biggest thing I'm interested in right now is Scenarium, because we need it for processing arrays, and I actually do want to make some processing arrays. But the next big thing we're going to need it for, and plutonium, because we need plutonium to get Naquadah via microminers. Otherwise, the next big thing will probably be Americium. But yeah, I don't think we need that just yet. We will need it at some point. And apparently quite a lot of it for progression. But for now, I don't think we need to worry too much about it. I am stockpiling it. If we do, I am stockpiling it. I have 6k. I have the equivalent of 6,000 ingots. So yeah, we're doing all right. So I just wanted to quickly go through my nuclearcraft setup, and actually I just realized because I do need to build one more. I do have the case. Oh no, that's empty cooler. Oh, I accidentally crafted 140 empty coolers instead of casings. Ooh, whoops. So they won't take too long to craft. So I am currently breeding, or the plan is to breed LEU 233 or TBU. LEU 233. I'm doing plutonium 239 and I'll do curium. Those 4 fuels in theory should give me everything I need. Everything I need to passive. So TBU is basically the base fuel that you start with. There is another route. You can go uranium, and I mean you go uranium to get the plutonium, but I went for LEU 233 because it gets you some Americium as well. Gets you some of that, as well as the plutonium that you need. But basically, that was quick. So they're done. I'm only doing the 5x5 breeder reactor in the quest. You can do more. You can either run these for power, and if you invest time into the underlying infrastructure, these can spit out a stupid amount of power. But I am going to stick with GregTech power. I'm going to stick with GregTech power, to be honest. The next power will most likely be plasma, because I actually don't think we're that far away from fusion. So the next power will probably be helium plasma. But yeah, so basically the quest does a decent job of walking you through how to build your simple breeder reactor, but you can also build them with building gadgets, and the quest explains how to do that. This quest explains how to do that as well. Where you can basically create a building gadget template, and then put it into your copy-paste gadget and basically paste a reactor. I think it doesn't do tile entities, though, so I think it basically doesn't do the... I don't think it can do the controller or the reactor port. I don't think it pastes those blocks, because I think they're tile entities, and I'm fairly sure the copy-paste gadget can't do tile entities, but I could be wrong. So the way I'm running these is I'm level emitting them. So the reactors will only do stuff with a redstone signal. So I am level emitting. So for TBU, which you just get from thermal centrifuging thorium, and thorium I've been getting from the fluorine setup up on this platform up there. You can actually see I've added a third. I said I wasn't going to build anything new on here, but I've actually added a third rock breaker for red granite. But basically, as part of this fluorine setup, I also get thorium as a byproduct, which is good. So I basically just spin the thorium in a thermal centrifuge to make TBU. But the red granite is to get uranium. The chance is extremely low. With an IV macerator, it's like 5% or 6%, I think. What is it? 5% to get uranium 238. but we'll go step by step. So basically, the TBU that I get from the thorium, I level emit that for until I have 512 neptunium, and or until I have 500 uranium 233. As far as I'm aware, you don't need the nuclear isotopes in huge quantities, because their primary use, aside from a couple that are used for microminer missions, I believe the primary use for them is to make omnium. And I don't think you need like huge amounts of omnium. So something passive like this would probably be fine. And you can make a lot of this stuff by fusion later on. Like uranium is just aluminium and gold in a fusion reactor, I think, which is a lot easier than, or a lot faster than the nuclearcraft setup. So this one takes 20 seconds to output a depleted fuel, and the depleted fuels are just centrifuge. So if we look at, say, depleted TBU fuel, you centrifuge it to then get more stuff. So in this case, I'm getting, where is it? I'm getting uranium-233 and uranium-235. I'm not using the uranium-235. I just convert the nuggets to ingots and then stockpile it, and I pretty much just use it to make liquid uranium for whenever I need stabilized uranium. And I think the dust might be needed for some recipes. But basically, the next fuel. So if we look at that, where are we? Depleted TBU fuel. So I'm not using the neptunium, but we do need it. I'm not using it in a nuclearcraft reactor, but we do need it to make liquid neptunium to make omnium later on. So I'm just stockpiling that for now. And I didn't want to build a dedicated centrifuge because I'm only doing like that setup. So I didn't want to build a dedicated centrifuge. So over in ore processing, I have just updated this to say that depleted fuel goes into ore processing. And then it just goes into centrifuge to be centrifuged and then sent back to... and then the tiny clumps that you get, these come into this network, into the MISC network, to be packaged using the packaging multi-block. The other thing I've set up is uranium enrichment. So uraninite dust... Basically, now that we're out of the early game, uraninite dust has no purpose except to be turned into enriched uranium. In the early game, you smelt it to make resonant dust or whatever, as part of early pulsating polymer clay, until you can get ender pearls set up with DML. But after that, it doesn't really have any use except to be turned into enriched uranium. And the recipe for that, the enrichment chain is really short. It is just uraninite, fluorine, and hydrofluoric acid in a chemical reactor to make uranium hexafluoride, and then you just centrifuge these to make the enriched and depleted uranium hexafluoride, and then you electrolyze them to make the relevant dust, either 235 for enriched or 238 for unenriched, and you get the fluorine. Sorry, you get 50% of the fluorine back. So it's a total of, I think it's a total of 12 buckets of fluorine, and I think you get 6 back, essentially. Or something like that. And I'm just doing the enrichment in this centrifuge as well, and then the electrolysis in here. So I have a fluid storage bus to send uranium hexafluoride into the centrifuges. So basically, because ore processing isn't going all the time, and this also isn't going all the time, so it just made sense for me to use ore processing. If I was using this for power, then I'd have to have a lot of dedicated infrastructure set up because these reactors would just chew through fuel. So I had a bit of a dum-dum moment when I was building these because, as you can see, you encase a space with these, but you don't put edges or corners on. So, we have the little... we don't have an edge here, and we don't have a corner. And basically, I read the quest book, and I kept building it without corners, but I kept building it with edges, and wondering why I was running out of casings. So, but what we are going to do is we're actually going to build the 4th reactor on camera. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically, the way the quest book has the exact numbers that you need to build what they call the cryo lattice, which is an entirely passive reactor using cryophium coolers. It can happily process any unenriched fuel without overheating. And speaking of overheating, I don't know if this was the case in original Nomifactory. I don't think it was, because I swear I've seen Nomifactory videos with nuclear reactors leaking due to meltdown. But in Nomi CEu, the hazards of nuclearcraft are turned off by default, so reactors can't explode and they can't melt down. Which is good. So you don't have to worry. Basically, if they overheat, they just shut down. They just shut down. I think they start voiding stuff. I don't know. But they definitely don't explode and they definitely don't melt down. They just shut down. So yeah, that's actually pretty. So that's pretty good. And then we just do this. Turn night vision on. Right, so we just have, and then I have a vision controller, and this is what you supply the redstone signal to, and I should have a reactor port as well. There we go. And a reactor port is just another way to access its inventory. I think you can technically access its inventory through the controller as well, but I want to be able to access the inventory from the top, because that's where I do my passives. So here, for example, is where I'm thermal centrifuging thorium that I'm just bringing in from AE. And then I was so tempted to use crafting cards. I do actually use crafting cards, which will upset some people. And we'll get onto that in a sec. I'll actually show you where I use them. There are a couple of places in the base where I use crafting cards. But for these, I've opted to use the mechanical crafters from extra utilities. And they do consume grid power, but I have 500 grid power from the dragon egg, so that's fine. These ones are perfectly fine. So this is making the TBU fuel from the prepared thorium, and this is turning the 235 nuggets into uranium. And then over here we have the same thing. We're making plutonium ingots, and we're also making the LEU fuel from apparently. Oh, I need to fix this, maybe? No. I need to figure out why that's not working. It's not taking that and putting it in the furnace. Sorry, it's not taking the uranium out of the furnace. It's because it's run out. Oh, we're running out of uranium-238 dust. Oh, yeah, we're running out of uranium-238 dust. Okay. Yeah, so basically, I do use crafting cards in a couple of places. But for some passive stuff, but we'll go through that in a sec. So basically, again, I'm building it exactly as the quest book describes it, but I thought a visual aid might be helpful. Flame is very annoying. I should make the angel ring. I can actually make the angel ring now. Because you just need to be able to get the vibrant jetpack and the resonant jetpack, I think. I might not actually be able to make the angel ring just yet. I might need Enderium. Let's double check. Progression. Oh no, you just need the reinforced jetpack, and then you can make the angel ring, which is cool. And then that just gives you creative flight. It consumes grid power, but I don't think it actually uses that much. Yeah, it uses 32, which is like nothing. But yeah, it basically just grants you creative flight without a jetpack. So basically we do a checkerboard of fuel cells starting in the corner, and then we fill in the gaps with cryophium coolers. And then we basically do the same thing. Now we do a checkerboard of cryophium coolers on top of the fuel cells. On top of the layer of fuel cells, and then we fill in the gaps with fuel cells. I'm gonna go make the angel ring off camera after this, either after this episode or in between cuts, because yeah, the jetpack flame is annoying me. But yeah, so as you can see, and basically the quest, just like with the casings, the quest makes sure that it asks you for the exact amount of fuel cells and coolers. So basically, if you have any fuel cells or coolers left over, then you've placed something wrong somewhere. But we should be good. And there we go. We're out of fuel cells, and we are out of coolers. And then you just seal it up. And we get... So this one is going to be for curium. There are actually... And if we right-click it... There we go. Yeah, so 5x5x5 fission reactor. No fuel, but it has a valid heat value, and it's not complaining about structure being incomplete. These do make noise. They make a Geiger counter ticking noise. So I have a muffler here to turn that off, because it was getting annoying, especially with 4 of them. So what I've been doing with these is I've been doing a hole here for level emitters. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do... Oh, I'll level emit it off berkelium and californium. So basically, for the last reactor, the reason we need the last reactor is we need berkelium and californium for to make omnium later on. I don't think we need huge amounts of these, but basically you can get a little bit of both from just putting curium in the reactor. So that is what we'll do. We'll just level emit for berkelium and californium, and then that's pretty much it for nuclearcraft. We need to passive scenarium, because that is also used... I don't think it's used in Omnium, but it is used in late-game microminers, I believe. So we do need to passive it, because it's very slow. At it's even in an LUV alloy smelter, it's still 50 seconds per scenarium. And we need scenarium for, like I said, we need it for processing arrays. So yeah, so the plan is we'll passive that. The first processing arrays I put down are actually going to be for black granite, red granite, obsidian, and endstone. Endstone is mostly going to be for tungstate, but maybe for... Well, it'll create helium as well, but I also get helium from liquid air distillation. I think it's liquid air or liquid never air. One of the air distillations. But yeah, black granite, we just want to put like a bunch of EV rock breakers in there to make black granite. Red granite, we want to do as well, because these IV macerators, one rock breaker can't feed them both. And basically, we just want to chew through... We're not actually doing anything with the red granite dust. We're just sending that to the trash can. Basically, we want to chew through red granite to get the uranium. And then for obsidian is just to have obsidian. I don't actually do anything with the dust. It's just so we have obsidian in the network. And black granite, we still need it for fluorine, but we also need it for thorium as well. So we definitely want to be getting that, and we'll just send them into drawers. The PAs themselves will be level emitted, so that's why we have voiding upgrades on here. Except for the uranium and the endstone, we just want those to clog up, but we'll level emit the black granite PA. So yeah, basically that is that is nuclear stuff. I'm not gonna like hook up the level emitters and stuff on camera, because I don't really think there's much point to that. But what I'll show you what I'm level emitting for each one though. So for this one, like I said, I'm level emitting neptunium and uranium-233, which is used to make the next fuel, which is LEU-233. And for the LEU-233 reactor, I'm level emitting plutonium-239 ingots. It outputs nuggets, but I'm level emitting specifically ingots, because ingots is what we need. And then I'm also level emitting americium-243. And basically, because we'll need that for americium ingots. We can make it with fusion, but I think it's I think it's like Mark II fusion or something. So for the moment, we can only get it from these reactors. And then the third fuel is low enriched plutonium 239. And for that, we're level emitting curium 243. And that's actually it, because it doesn't actually output. Yeah, we're level emitting curium 243 because that's the rarer of the two, or that's the lower quantity of the two. Otherwise, it just outputs plutonium again, and this just gets consumed, making the fuel, making more of the fuel. So it outputs like a third of the ingredients that you put in to make the fuel. And then this fourth one will be curium. I think it's 243. I think it's LECM 243. Berkelium. No, it's not that one. There's one that outputs. You can do highly enriched fuels, but you really need to look at this is the one we want. So we're gonna look at LECM 245 fuel. You can do highly enriched fuels to get more outputs, more of certain outputs, but you can't do highly enriched fuels with these reactors. Ideally, you either need a much bigger passive reactor or you need a actively cooled reactor. But I don't think the quantities are big enough, especially because I'm passiving. I don't think the quantities are big enough for me to worry about doing highly enriched. I think highly enriched would be better. Highly enriched is definitely better for power, but again, I'm not going to use these for power. So yeah, so that is so that's the nuclear stuff. I'll get the and then the level emitter for this last reactor will just be on probably just on berkelium 247 and californium 252, because all of these turn into their stabilized variants. So might as well just, and I'm not really interested in the others, so I'll probably just level emit on the higher of the two for this one, because I just want to turn these straight into their liquid variants to then turn into their stabilized variants. But we don't need stabilized berkelium or californium, I don't think, until very late game for omnium. Yeah, so it's not the fastest setup in the world. This is like 20 seconds or 23 seconds per fuel. This is like 10 seconds. And I think this one's like 14. And that one will probably be, I guess, roughly around the same amount. So yeah, so that's nuclear. The other thing I have is I have now some Naquadah, which we just get from, now that we have the stabilized plutonium, wherever it is, there it is, we have stabilized plutonium, we can get Naquadah. So last night, before I went to bed, I just ran the microminer mission. That got me a load of dust. So 224 enriched Naquadah dust is from one single run of this mission, and 384 ingots of regular Naquadah, or 384 dust, because obviously it's a blast furnace smelt. 384 regular Naquadah dust was what I got from one thing. I don't know what the... Is it... yeah, we can actually make that go higher with a macerator. With a higher tier macerator. So at the moment, I think we're getting like 50-odd%. I think it's like 55% chance or something with our LUV macerator. So we can actually make this go higher. And eventually it will actually get to 100%, I believe. Yeah, I believe eventually it will actually get to 100% output chance for the secondary macerator outputs for centrifuge doors. Once we get there, either that or it's like 80s or 90s percent or something like that. But I'm fairly sure UHV or UV would be 100% potentially, or close to. But yeah, so I need passive Naquadah because it's used quite a lot. So I will be doing that. And the other thing I want is I want to upgrade all the EBFs to Naquadah coils, I think. Because Naquadah just comes straight out of ore. So yes, it costs me stuff to make the microminer, but it actually just comes straight out of ore. So it's arguably probably easier for me to make than the HSSG coils. So in hard mode, there is a full Naquadah line. Which I believe is somewhat similar to the GTNH line. It might not be as big. and it starts with snow chestite ore, I believe is what it's called. But that's in hard mode. In normal mode, you can get Naquadah dust and enriched Naquadah dust directly from the ore. Obviously, the enriched Naquadah dust, as you saw, was just a percentage, but basically you simply enrich Naquadah by using. Oh, that's why we need liquid Neptunium as well. We need it for thingy. We need it for Naquadah enrichment. But yeah, so basically it's a single step to enrich Naquadah in normal mode. You just need grains of infinity, which we can now get from microminers. Grains of innocence, which is just what is that? Enticing crystal, which is fine. And then grains of plausality, which is just pulsating crystals. So macerated. So yeah, Naquadah enrichment is really easy, but there is a miniature Naquadah line as well. So Naquadah alloy we can actually also make now, or we just need trinium. Uranium enriched Naquadah. Yeah, so basically Naquadah we can actually also make. Oh, we need liquid curium, but we can actually also make Naquadah because we have an LUV mixer. But the big thing is, I think it's in here. Yeah. So there is a little bit of there is a processing line for Naquadah dust. I need to look into this, but basically this is, I believe, a source of trinium. Yeah, you get trinium sulfide from it. And I think the idea is that basically, and you get indium as well. So we definitely want to look at doing this. Yeah, we definitely want to look at doing this. And what I'll probably do is I will level maintain. I'll probably level maintain. So I'm level maintaining the microminers right now. And so basically, if you haven't seen this before, the ME level maintainer, you just put stuff in here, and if the network is low, if the network doesn't have the stock that you request, then it will request an autocraft for it. So I'm choosing it to make sure that there's always one of each microminer in stock. There's 10 tiers of microminers, so I will have to build another one just for the next 5 microminers. But I'm also going to look at doing it for stuff that the microminers provide, like tungsten dust, Naquadah dust, iridium dust, etc. Because the way I'm doing that right now, avert your eyes if you don't like crafting cards, is I have crafting cards in the ME interfaces attached to the blast furnaces. So when we're running low on tungsten, this will request tungsten dust, which then requests the microminer mission. The recipe is like 256. Yeah, we've ended up with 4K. I had a bit of a overload where there was about 10 or so microminer mission crafts going at once because there was the level maintainer and a bunch of other things were requesting tungsten. And it took ore processing like 2 hours to get through it all, and then now I've ended up with like 4K excess tungsten dust, which is cool. But yeah, so basically, the idea is that I will move these to level maintainers. There is one thing I will point out though: crafting cards do not have the performance issues in the modern versions of Nomifactory CEu like they did in older versions. So AE2 unofficial has made a lot of performance improvements to things like crafting cards and various other aspects of the network. So as long as you're not spamming them everywhere, they're perfectly fine to use. Don't ever use them in a export bus though. In fact, just don't use export buses in general. They're still bad for TPS, even in modern AE2 unofficial. So if basically pretty much everything you want to do with an export bus, you can do with a ME interface and a conduit or a pipe or whatever. So yeah, so crafting cards they're not as evil as they used to be in terms of performance, but yeah, basically I don't use them. Yes, I use them to make some of the crafting cards I have will cause microminer missions to be requested, but I have a fair amount of the microminer products on passive ingredients on passive, and if I don't have them on passive, I'm crafting them in huge batches, so the crafting chains are never too long. But anyway, I'm going to disappear, And actually, no, I think I might call the video here. There's not really much else to go through, because I'm just going to get that reactor set up, and then I'm actually going to start looking at Naquadah line, and how I actually process Naquadah properly to get the good ingredients, to get the good byproducts out of it, like indium and trinium and stuff like that, because trinium, I believe, is the last thing we need for fusion, if I recall. Where are we? So fusion. So we need plutonium-241 plates, which is fine. Yeah, I think trinium is somewhere in here. There is something in here that requires trinium. But yeah, so I'm probably going to call it here. It's a bit of a shorter one, but yeah, I just wanted to give a bit of an update and go through the nuclear stuff and whatnot. Oh, there is one more thing, because this caught me out, and I don't want it to catch other people out. So I passived styrene butadiene rubber, because obviously I have a lot of oil over there, and I thought, oh, I might as well just use the butadiene and basically make styrene butadiene rubber. It's a trap, because yes, it's still good for cables, and it can be used in a lot of other places that rubber can, but once you get to LUV, the pumps specifically require silicone rubber. So you're going to have to do silicone rubber regardless, because the pumps, and I believe this is the case going forward as well. So if I look at, so if you look at like ZPM pump, yeah, they all need silicone rubber. So yeah, it basically, if I had my time over again, I wouldn't bother doing styrene butadiene rubber. I would just do silicone rubber, in all honesty. And just stick with that, because all the places where you can use styrene butadiene rubber, you can also use silicone rubber. So there's no downside to just doing silicone rubber, and then it means you don't get caught out like I did, where you still have to do it anyway in order to make LUV pumps. So basically we can actually tick something off the list. We can tick something off the list. Nuclearcraft breeders are done. So I want to upgrade all the EBFs to Naquadah coils. I want to, because that's just a matter of time, pretty much, because I can get Naquadah directly from ores. So yeah, it's basically just a matter of time with this. Whereas HSSG, if I bulk craft that, if I use bulk quantities of that, I have to wait a very long time for it to refill. I also want to upgrade the oil crackers to Naquadah coils, because then that would actually allow me to squeeze another overclock out of them. And I need passive Naquadah. LUV circuit assembler is still on the list. Could we potentially cap off with that? Where are we? LUV circuit assembler. Oh yes, we actually can make it. So we'll set that going. It's going to take quite a long time to craft, I think. So we're probably oh yeah, there is a blast in it. Ruri did. I need passive Ruridit as well, I think. I think I do need passive Ruridit, and I need passive osmium. There's a fair few passive blast furnaces I still need to set up. But yeah, I want to get everything to Naquadah, because that'll get me some more perfect overclocks on some stuff. But at the very least, even if it doesn't get me perfect overclocks, it will get me 5% energy discounts on a lot of them. But we're about to run out of power. I'm going to cancel that. Yeah, we're about to run out of power. I want to pull you out, and why are we about to run out of power? Presumably because there is still, ore proc is going. Why? Is ore proc still just working its way through stuff? Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I'll just have to ease off a bit while I wait for some stuff. But yeah. So I think in that case, then I think I'm actually going to call the video here. Yeah, I think I'm going to call the video here. might have sounded a little bit disjointed, but yeah, like I said, I just wanted to provide a bit of an update. Next video will be going through the Naquadah line once I figure out how to get that built, and also I will look at and also I need to look at getting some stuff up to LUV. So get LUV energy hatch so then I can upgrade the assembler to LUV and get these onto LUV dynamos with liquid oxygen. So yeah, so there's going to be some big moves in the next update. But yeah, I will actually LUV ECEs. And we also want LUV assembler. There we go. Right, anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Always do appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all later.